Take you a little tour of the parts tray here. I lay everything out on this aluminum sheet, and it kind of keeps everything in, I want to say order, but it ends up as I clean the parts and move them around. And my rule is they don't leave the aluminum sheet, and that way I don't lose them until I reassemble. But anyway, I've done a little bit of polishing. This brass, all the brass on the engine was just was in pretty rough condition, kind of like this tank. I've bead blasted the top and bottom in preparation for paint, and I'll polish this tank up, and it'll look as good, hopefully, as the muffler here. Cool looking muffler. This thing's got to weigh 3 pounds. This is solid brass up here, this dome. Don't know why they made that so heavy, but I won't change it. Just various parts. Here's a little pawl that engages the governor system, and I've just cleaned everything up. There's a little oiler. Here is the igniter. This is an interesting piece in and of itself. When these points close, they complete a circuit through that coil I showed you earlier. And then when they open, whenever a circuit is broken with a coil, there's some voltage there and it'll spark. Anytime a circuit is open and like that with those points, that creates a spark. Only takes about 6 volts on that coil, but that spark is enough to light your fuel charge and run the engine. But this is typical igniter styling. A lot of old engines had igniters before there were spark plugs, and a lot of guys think they were actually better than a spark plug. But the igniter is in good shape. I cleaned it all up. It was nasty. Head gaskets, various fasteners. Here's the rocker arm. This rolls on top of this cam right here, and you'll see all this when I get it back together. See how this all works. This actuates the exhaust valve. This is the governor assembly. This is kind of a focal point of this engine. This is actually referred to as a side shaft. This runs on the crankshaft gear. This comes up along the side of the engine, and the balls throw out with speed and govern the engine. Not much movement there, but enough to do the job. And last but not least, of course, is the cylinder head. I'm going to have to do a little paint touch up on it as well. But it's in good condition. The valves are good. They seal good. The engine had good compression. It was dirty, nasty. It looked like it had been running extremely rich. It was very, very carboned up. But pretty good shape now. So that's about it on the Perkins. Try to get her back together here soon and take some more video of it and show you what it looks like, hopefully running. I forgot to mention the pulley. Now, I've cleaned this pulley up, but this is the pulley that comes on the engine. This thing is solid brass. Now, I know on these old engines you like to have some inertia, but these flywheels are fairly heavy. I need to weigh them and see just what they weigh, but you take a pair of cast iron flywheels and a chunk of brass like this thing must weigh 7 pounds. You've got some inertia there. It may contribute to the smooth running of this engine. The ones I've seen run at the shows are just so smooth and slow. So I wanted to show you that pulley while I had it off.
Thought I'd show you a little more detail on this cylinder head here. Inside the cooling fins there was just a lot of dirt and crud. I've cleaned it in solvent, and Now all that dirt and crud is just turned from grease to just dry dirt. So I've got a soldering tool here that I use that can be used to clean parts when you solder them. It's just a wire brush, and I found that kind of handy to get down here and clean these cooling fins out and kind of get that dirt knocked out of there. As soon as I get this done, I'm going to put a little paint on this, and this is the most intricate piece on the engine, I think, as far as trying to get it clean and ready for paint. I thought I'd just show you that real quick. And you know, if you got an engine like this, keep it covered up, for crying out loud. It's just too valuable of a piece to let sit around. This thing, I can tell, has sat for years in a dirty environment, and these things are just too much of an heirloom to just let it go like that, in my opinion. Just thought I would share that with you. But a good way to clean out cooling fins and nooks and crannies and so forth. Alright, we're still working on the Perkins here. Got the head painted. I want to show you that. Mask it off. Just masked off the valves and didn't take all that apart, but all the little places where it needed to be bare metal I mask off with tape, and we got her painted up here. These engines aren't meant to be completely perfectly smooth. It is cast iron. You want it to look old, but I wanted it to look nice, a lot nicer than it did, so got that painted. Pretty decent. Working on the parts here. I wanted to show you something. I picked up some 3M brand. It's called Sandblaster. It's a new product to me. It's like a waffle shaped abrasive here, and this is 400 grit. It does a pretty decent job on brass and also in preparation for paint. I started using it on the engine here. Just kind of rubbing, scuffing up the old paint, and it does a pretty good job of scuffing. And then I discovered what it does to brass. I got a little oiler here. Let me take it off here, get my wrench going, and get a little more light on the subject. Get this oiler off here. There we go. Pretty dull little piece of brass here, this small oiler. Take some of this material and give it a little rub. And boy, look at that. Turns out nice. Now I'll run that on the buffing wheel and put a mirror polish on that. Does a pretty good job on brass. So all the little parts like this I'll get cleaned up with this material and run it on the buffing wheel there for a little bit with some abrasive and get a mirror finish on it. Lots of little pieces to clean on the Perkins. So basically what 3M has done is they've taken the old Scotch-Brite pad that we're all familiar with, taken it one step further with this product, and it looks like I've used shelf liners that look like this material. They put a fine abrasive on them. They got one finer than this too, I think I'll pick up, that's maybe a little better for polishing brass. Very interesting. Does a good job of cleaning. Kind of cleaning the tag up here a little bit.
coming out pretty good. Taking a little magic marker here, Sharpie, and color it up to almost full black here.